There is a retirement account sitting in the name of approximately 60 million Americans right now. Most of those 60 million people contribute to it regularly, receive occasional statements about it, and have been told by financial advisors, employers, and personal finance content creators that maximizing their contributions to it is one of the smartest financial moves they can make. And that advice is not entirely wrong, but it is missing something. Something that is hiding in plain sight inside the documents that come with every single one of these accounts. Something that, over the course of a 30-year career, will quietly redirect tens of thousands of dollars, and in many cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, away from your retirement and toward people and institutions you have almost certainly never thought about. The 401k. And the fee structure embedded inside almost every one of them. Let me give you a number that most 401k participants have never been told, and that the financial services industry has limited incentive to advertise clearly. The average 401k plan in America charges participants a total all-in fee of somewhere between 1% and 2% of their account balance every single year. 1% to 2%. That sounds small. Against a balance of $50,000, it sounds almost trivial. It is not trivial at all, and the reason it's not trivial is the same reason that compound interest builds extraordinary wealth over time. Compounding works in both directions. A 2021 analysis conducted by Morningstar, one of the most respected investment research firms in the industry, found that a 1% annual fee applied consistently over a 30-year investment period reduces the final account balance by approximately 28% compared to the same investments with no fee. 28%. Not in a single bad year, not from a market crash. From fees so small they feel like rounding errors, compounding silently against your balance every single month for 3 decades. Run the math on a real number. If you are on track to retire with a $500,000 401k balance, a 1% annual fee over your career has cost you approximately $140,000 compared to what you would have had in a zero-fee environment. If you're on track for $1 million, that fee has cost you approximately $280,000. These are not hypothetical losses from bad investments. They are guaranteed transfers of your retirement savings to fund managers and plan administrators who provided a service you may not have known you were paying for, at a price you almost certainly never agreed to explicitly. Now let us look at exactly how these fees are structured, because the structure is important and the complexity is not accidental. Most 401k plans charge participants through multiple simultaneous fee layers that are disclosed separately and in ways that make the total cost difficult to calculate without deliberately doing the math yourself. The first layer is the plan administrative fee. This is charged by the company that administers the 401k plan, handles the record keeping, processes contributions, and manages the participant portal where you log in to check your balance. This fee is typically charged as a percentage of total plan assets and is disclosed on your annual plan statement, usually in a document called the 404A-5 fee disclosure. Most participants do not read this document. The fee exists and is being charged regardless. The second layer is the expense ratio charged by each individual mutual fund you are invested in. This is where the most significant and most avoidable fee damage typically occurs. If your 401k plan has defaulted you into actively managed mutual funds, which the majority of plans do, you are likely paying between 0.6 and 1.5% per year in fund expense ratios alone. This fee is not charged as a separate line item that appears on your statement. It is deducted directly from the fund's returns before the return is calculated and reported to you. You never see it leave. You only experience it as a slightly lower return than the underlying assets would have generated without it. The contrast with index funds is stark and important. A total market index fund from Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab charges an expense ratio of between 0.01 and 0.05% per year. That is 1 to 0.05% compared to the 0.6 to 1.5% charged by the actively managed funds that most 401k participants are sitting in by default. The difference between those two numbers, applied to a growing balance over 30 years, is the difference between retiring comfortably and retiring with significantly less than you should have. The third fee layer is one that the majority of 401k participants have never heard of and would find genuinely troubling if they understood what it represents. It is called the 12B1 fee. The name comes from the SEC rule that authorized it, and it is charged by certain mutual funds as a marketing and distribution expense. Here's what a 12B1 fee actually pays for. It compensates the brokers, advisors, and plan administrators who recommended that the fund be included in your employer's 401k lineup. You are paying a fee embedded inside your fund's expense ratio that goes to the people who decided which funds you would have access to in your retirement plan. The fund that is charging you this fee used part of the money you paid to secure its place in your plan. This is legal. It is disclosed, technically, in the fund's prospectus, and it represents a genuine conflict of interest between the people selecting funds for your plan and the people whose retirement those funds are supposed to serve. A 2018 survey conducted by AARP produced a finding that captures the impact of all of this complexity in a single statistic. More than 70% of 401k participants, when asked directly, said they believed they paid no fees whatsoever in their retirement account. 0. They believe the account was free. The fees are not 0. They have never been 0. They are ongoing, compounding, and in aggregate represent one of the largest hidden costs in the average American's financial life. Now here's where the story becomes more complicated and ultimately more actionable. The 401k, despite everything I've just described, remains one of the most valuable retirement savings vehicles available to ordinary American workers. Not because the fee structure is fair or transparent, because of two features that are powerful enough to overcome significant fee drag if they are understood and used correctly. The first feature is the employer match. If your employer offers to match your 401k contributions up to a certain percentage of your salary, contributing at least enough to capture that full match is the single highest priority financial move available to you, regardless of what the fees look like. An employer match is an immediate 100% return on the match portion of your contribution. No fee, no matter how high, can mathematically overcome an immediate doubling of your investment. And if your employer matches 50% of contributions up to 6% of your salary, and you contribute 6%, you have immediately earned a 50% return on that 6% before the money has been invested in anything. Capture the full match before doing anything else. The second feature is the tax advantage. Traditional 401k contributions reduce your taxable income in the year you make them, which means the government is effectively subsidizing your retirement savings at your marginal tax rate. If you're in the 22% federal tax bracket, every dollar you contribute to a traditional 401k costs you 78 cents out of pocket because the other 22 cents would have gone to taxes. Roth 401k contributions are made with after-tax dollars, but grow and are withdrawn tax-free, which produces significant advantages over long time horizons depending on your expected tax situation in retirement. These tax advantages are real, substantial, and available regardless of the fee structure of your specific plan. The problem is not the 401k as a vehicle. The problem is the specific fund choices inside your 401k, and that is something most participants have significantly more control over than they realize. Here's the 4-step action plan. Step 1. Log into your 401k account today and locate the expense ratio for every fund you are currently invested in. This information is required by law to be available on your plan's website or in the fund documentation. Look for a column or field labeled expense ratio. If any fund shows an expense ratio above 0.5%, you are almost certainly paying more than necessary. Step 2. Look through your plan's complete fund lineup for index funds. Specifically, look for a total stock market index fund, an S&P 500 index fund, an international stock index fund, and a bond index fund. These low-cost options exist in the fund lineups of the majority of 401k plans in America. The reason most participants are not in them is not that they are hidden. It is that participants were defaulted into something more expensive when they enrolled and never went back to change it. Step 3. If you have old 401k accounts from previous employers sitting dormant, consolidate them. Roll them into an IRA that you control directly at a provider like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. Inside that IRA, you have access to the lowest cost funds available anywhere, with no plan administrative fees on top of already low expense ratios. Every dollar sitting in a forgotten old 401k with mediocre fund options is a dollar that could be working harder in a consolidated, optimized IRA. Step 4. Find out the total all-in cost of your current plan by calling your plan administrator directly and asking this specific question. What is the total plan administrative fee as a percentage of assets separate from the expense ratios of the individual funds? Write down the answer. Add it to the expense ratios of the funds you are invested in. That sum is your total annual cost. If it exceeds 0.5 to 0.75% in total, you have a concrete target for improvement. The retirement system in America was not designed to be transparent about its costs. The disclosure requirements exist, but they were written in ways that serve the industry more than they serve participants. You're not going to change the system, but you can protect yourself from its worst features by knowing where to look, what to ask, and what options are available to you inside the plan you already have. The $280,000 that fee drag costs someone with $1 million retirement account over their career does not have to be your number. It is the default outcome for people who never look at this. It does not have to be yours. Next week on Quiet Rich, I'm covering the complete sequence of investment accounts and exactly which ones to fill in what order. Most people get this sequence wrong, and it costs them years of tax-advantaged growth that they can never get back. Subscribe so you do not miss it. New videos every Tuesday and Friday.